Everybody, welcome to the earliest alert as we're still focusing on, of course, on the not only the flooding potential, but also the potential for maybe even some severe weather before this pattern begins to relax a bit and change up, as we'll cover here in just a second. First off, let's cover the numbers. 69 in Austin, 69 in Paoli, 67 here in Louisville. Based on the satellite, you can see it's very thin canopy of cirrus clouds. The sun can get through that, no problem. So it is going to be I would say a hazy instead of sunny day for the rest of the day, and windy. Just like yesterday, those gusts up to 40 miles per hour or higher will be possible. Now, there are thicker clouds that will be rolling on in and filling in all of our fun. That'll happen later on today. It's now moving in out of Mississippi. That flow, you can just see it just kind of swarming right up into us, and that'll happen later on. Already look at the thunder breaking out around Carbondale, Illinois. Meanwhile, it's ice storm ongoing in Kansas City, all the way, even some ice into Wisconsin, which they'll get another round later on. So the threshold of where all the moisture can vary belt and the temperature profile changes dramatically is just to our west. We're on the really nice side of this whole ordeal. I mean, you look at 68 degrees. I don't have Kansas City plotted up, but obviously they're at least 32 degrees with the freezing rain. But a big difference in the show me state right now from one end to the other. All right, so our wind potential this afternoon, we'll be watching this carefully. Again, 35 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts, what we're talking about. In some cases, could go higher. An isolated case of that. Here, the river flood warnings. The Ohio, of course, is the most dramatic, being impacted by the tributaries from the recent rainfall that we had, kind of feeding in the Ohio, and additional rainfall that is expected in all the other tributaries. Now, those react. I mean, smaller creeks and streams react quickly to rainfall events. They right now are behaving. In most cases, but when you get a heavy rain event, they react and go back up, and then they go back down again. So it's one of those things where they're not listed here, but they will, feed into to the flood warning map as we go through time, and they will add on to the Ohio River. But the Ohio River is much more tangible. Monitoring its level is a little easier to go up and down. In fact, here's the latest numbers: 24.17. Forecast still to go to 28, although the new update should be coming in here shortly on the crest level for the weekend, so we'll update you on that. It'll keep changing. So for this afternoon, we'll see temperatures. We're going to go lower 80s. We're already, I just got the new number in, by the way. We're now at 70 degrees here in Louisville. Continue to climb. So we're going to break the record in just a few hours of 76, and then we'll climb into the lower 80s, it looks like, for the all-time warmest February day. It'll be windy and mainly dry today. Now, here's the thing. Tonight, there is going to be a line of thunderstorms, kind of bowing segments. It looks like to be two bowing segments that'll form. Now, the wind is going to get caught into these, and it's going to pull east. So these two bowing segments will pull away from the main rain band. Now, that will enhance our wind to an extent. They have friction against their ability here, so they can only go so far, and then they're going to just run out of steam. How far east do they go? I-65 looks to be a good bet. But then what's interesting about it is you'll see here on this is the RPM, but notice how it advances out. Very windy when it arrives with the way. I think gusts over 45, maybe 50 miles per hour are possible with this gust front. And then it fades out, but then the rain behind it, it's more what we call the broken stratiform rain. There's a bit of sinking air that takes place immediately after that kind of a gust front. And then the atmosphere kind of recharges itself, and you get back into more scattered showers throughout the day, and then temperatures begin to drop. And it just gets ugly as we head into tomorrow afternoon, making for all this warm weather a very distant memory. And then that rain will continue all the way into Wednesday night, even into Thursday before it'll ease, but only briefly, because we're back at it again as we head into Thursday. Another round. There's actually two areas of low pressure, and one will pass by Thursday. The wind belt with this one looks strongest in the southeast corner of the low, and right now that would keep any strong thunderstorm potential to our north. And the problem with it being that far north of that wind belt, I don't know how much instability it'll have. Keep in mind, the models obviously are not handling the warm air well, which means they're not handling, in most cases, the moisture levels well, which means they're not handling the instability well. If the model's wrong on how warm it is outside, then it's going to be wrong on how unstable it's going to be. That's a key ingredient on this stuff. So you got to keep that in mind. The models may not be too excited about strong to severe thunderstorms, but the setup, based on what is happening in this ordeal, favors the ability for some stronger thunderstorm wind gust on Friday with that low passing by. It's worth watching. But I think the one that comes in on Saturday is the one that we really need to watch. And it looks to be late Saturday to Saturday night. Timing will be worked out. But this one's going to be closer to us, and the wind fields will be certainly more impressive Saturday night. It won't take much to get some instability. Now, it is going to be a nocturnal event the way it's trending. That always goes against us. Usually end up being a high shear, low cape environment. But you can still get severe weather out of that. So it is worth watching as we head to Saturday night, early Sunday, and then we get a break out of that. In fact, looking at the Schreff ensembles, I know this is hard to read. This is the temperature profile. Again, it's warm today. And look what happens as we head into, say, Friday and Saturday. It ranges from roughly 40 degrees for daytime highs to around 80. That's a 40-degree spread, guys, because it doesn't know where the track will be. If it's around top of it, it's going to be a cold rain. If it goes north, it'll be warmer. And right now, I think the north idea and the warmer idea is the way to go. And I have turned this into the 70s. I may not be warm enough. I'm going to go slow with it. We'll just trend and adjust as we go through time, and so will Kevin and Ryan when they're in. Now, looking at the potential for instability to develop then because of that, you get the higher values when you get a warmer setup, so it's going to show a little more energy, more cape to work with as we head into Friday. And that's the reason why, again, the models which you got to consider, more energy added to it, you're going to get more of a potential for a strong wind gust. And even the shear is a little more impressive. With the tracking to our north, we get more impressive shear, a warmer profile would, compared to the south. So, again, Friday and Saturday are 2 days. Right now we're not Outlook at the Storm Prediction Center, but that's not unusual either. This far out, I think it'll change as we get closer. Okay. So, having said all that, looking ahead at the rainfall potential, is there other issue that's going to affect the rivers? Right now, the ensembles from the Euro still, as a grand total, aiming for the Mississippi Valley and Ozarks to pick up the brunt of the rain. But still, we're going to get some that's going to impact the Ohio for sure. So stay tuned. 3 to 5 inches still in the cards, guys. Okay, so what about temperatures looking down the road? Well, the new Euro is in. Here's where we are now. Warm setup, colder west. Now, the NAO is going to stay negative, and the PNA is going to try to go positive. And because of that, we get the trough that is now way out into the Atlantic to build into the East Coast. We get into a colder than normal setup. That doesn't mean cold per se, colder than normal. And keep in mind, our normals keep increasing now as we get into March. And this is mid-March, by the way, what you're looking at. Now, it's certainly cold enough that it would lead to wintry weather. Yeah, it's possible. That's why I say winter's not done yet. Interestingly enough, as we into late March into April, we try to warm back up. And seeing the placement of warmth, trying to aim toward the plains, is a good signal for severe weather to develop. In fact, when you look at the CFS model for the last day of March, entering April, it already is hinting at severe weather across the Class 6 zone there of the plains and Mississippi Valley. So a very active month in March. I think it'll start off relatively warm, and then we'll get cold, and then another warm spell toward the end. But it's going to be up and down, guys. It's not going to be that cut and dry, but you get the idea. All right, we got a lot to monitor just in the next 4 to 5 days, guys. So bear with us and stay tuned to the Wave 3D's weather app for much more as we evolve for the next few days here.